are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 194 of the College Loop Podcast. I am Don Larck, at your boy Ting on Twitter. Sorry I missed the last episode. I was away out of town, enjoying a nice little vacation. But I'm here joined by Mr. Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Glad to have you back, and just want to go ahead and lay this one all out on the table. It's been a really fun journey here on the College Loop. This will be my last episode. I want to thank everyone, beginning with our listeners and with our viewers, and tell everybody thank you for your continual support and love. This has been nothing short of an amazing ride, and you guys have been the biggest supporters in the world. A big thank you to the guys over at the War Report Podcast Network for really taking a chance on this program, a program that I'll be following closely, that I know will soar to new heights. I don't think this will be my last time ever on the show. I certainly don't want to be a stranger, but this is going to be me stepping away. And most importantly, I want to thank the people that really made this happen, and that being Daniel Larck and Colin Beiersdorf, and their contributions to keep this thing running. Colin taking an internship, and we had no description of what that internship looked like, and coming in and doing some legwork for us. And most importantly, Mr. Larck, yourself. This has been a hell of a ride. I think that I don't want to go down a long rabbit hole and get all emotional. But it's not lost on me how much you bought into something and how much you took it and ran with it. And I don't think you guys understand how much of the legwork Tank does around here. This show's not going to miss a beat without me. It's not going to take a step backwards and won't digress. It's going to soar to new heights, and I'm going to be its biggest cheerleader the whole way through. Dylan, thank you for working with me on this. I know that we've definitely had our share of bickering about what our ideas for this is, and I think we've taken it. This is where I saw it headed, and in the best way possible. And I cannot wait to see the new heights you guys take it to. I am beyond thankful and gracious to everybody involved. I'm probably going to tweet tonight so you guys don't just learn about it as this comes out, especially the gentleman over at the War Report who so deserve all the flowers that they should be given, and to Dylan Larck at your boy the Tank on Twitter. Absolutely, all the thanks in the world to you. But we got one more, and let's make it count. Let's have a lot of fun. We got a lot of moving and shaking in Auburn football world, and Auburn basketball's got some interesting potential news. Former commitment releasing their NLI. I mean, no lack of drama in this installment of the College Loop Podcast, and not to mention Auburn men's golf doing what Auburn men's golf does. Really excited to see how they shape out this weekend, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for now, Dylan, let's jump right into football whenever you're ready.
Yeah, it is time. And Tara, I cannot be remiss to just speak out and say thank you for joining me along the way. It was a funny idea on the charter bus back to our apartment, and then turned into something even better. And of course, I'll still be around right here on the College Loop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday live streams as well. But just to get right into it, KeAndre Lambert-Smith is now going to be on the Auburn Tigers, the Penn State wideout who last year for the Nittany Lions had 53 catches for 673 yards, 4 touchdowns, averaged 12.7 yards per catch. Dude is an absolute menace when it comes to route running. I think Auburn hit the jackpot. This is out of all the transfer portal pickups, and we kind of talked about it all through the spring. Got a lot of guys who are going to be role players. I think Auburn, Hugh Freeze and Marcus Davis, who really outdid himself with this one, really went out and got a guy who was going to be right next to Cam Coleman. You got your two outside guys in KeAndre and Cam. And what you see in KeAndre, he is a big-bodied route runner who will outrun you. It's like a perfect mix. And I think the NFL draft experts have him listed as like a late round pick for next year's draft. So already a huge pickup, just getting a guy who should be NFL ready by the end of next year, hopefully. But looking at Auburn's wide receiver room, it's hard not to be excited about what Auburn could possibly do through the air next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the addition of KeAndre Lambert-Smith, you're not just getting a guy that walked away from a tremendous program in Penn State for no reason. He entered the transfer portal quite clearly to find a good fit for him to get ready for the next level, as you mentioned. I mean, just a year ago, hauled in 53 receptions for 673 yards, averaging 12.7 yards a catch, 4 tutties, had a catch for 72 yards, and actually carried the ball twice. Fun fact. So there's you a fun little tidbit. But like you mentioned, a young man that's going to be ready for the league come the end of next year. 6'1", 188 pounds, out of Norfolk, Virginia. This plugs in well with what Hugh Freeze is trying to do, trying to install, being able to run a true RPO at Auburn, being able to really, really buy in to playing the horizontal game, something that Auburn fans are yearning for and have been yearning for quite some time now. This young man plays in extremely well, and like as you mentioned, a tremendous addition to your Cam Coleman's, your Perry Thompsons. I could go down this list of receivers that Auburn's very, very excited to see kind of pan out. But now you bring some veteran experience with a lot of talent, and your pass catchers, man, they go from good to, in my opinion, great in terms of the upside. Now we got to see the proof in the pudding and see them all gel together and see how that all works out. But the potential is astronomically higher than it has been in years past. So very, very excited for this young man to join the program, and certainly going to elevate that passing game and give Peyton Thorne the opportunity to really show off what he's got as long as he's got it.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the scheme wise, what you see in KeAndre, he's going to be an outside receiver, and I think that's fairly obvious, and just how big he is, and of course just what he did at Penn State, because he was a monster for the Nittany Lions, especially for a team that really struggled throwing the ball the last few years. But looking at it, you're going to have Cam Coleman as your wide receiver one. I don't think anyone is going to ever think that Cam Coleman will not start a single game for the Auburn Tigers for the next 3 years, 3 to 4 years. I'll play it. I'll play a little safe. As a wide receiver one, I think you're going in with KeAndre as wide receiver two. I know he's got a little bit of to catch up with summer workouts and fall. And then you're going to have your first inside receiver is going to be Robert Lewis, a bit smaller than the other two, but a lot quicker in that regard. And then of course you're going to have the Perry Thompsons, the Sam Jacksons, the Bryce Canes, the Malcolm Simmons, the Camden Browns coming in. So you're going to have a nice coagulation. I guess that's the first one that comes to my mind.
Sure.
Of wide receiver talent that. I mean, it might be too premature to say this, but this wide receiver room that Auburn has got coming in right now, and what we've seen, I don't think we've seen a wide receiver room this talented in so long.
Some time.
And I can even go back. I don't even know where I want to stop at. I'm thinking maybe 2010. I think the Darvin Adams, Henry Blake, Terrell Zachary was probably the most complete wide receiver room Auburn has had in a hot minute. But then to go before that, Courtney Taylor, Devin Aroma-Shadu, and Ben Abamano. I think that's really what Auburn fans are looking forward to. And you don't just have a nice little trio of wide receivers in this. You might have a couple of guys who get 300-400 yards receiving this year. Peyton Thorne has easy pickings for whoever he wants to throw the ball to at any given time. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And if you're not on a Peyton Thorne bandwagon, I mean, it's going to be really hard, knock on wood, to fail or to have another bad season with this level of wide receiver talent.
The Freeze group has certainly worked their asses off to get what they've got now, and this is certainly a complete and total overhaul and upgrade of this wide receiver room. I mean, it doesn't really look similar to just a year ago at all, and that's probably the best case scenario, because certainly something Auburn needed. But with every addition comes some subtractions. Dylan, Colton Hood and Tyler Scott are in the portal. What does this mean for Auburn, and how does just Freeze and company, how did they kind of lick their wounds and kind of move forward after this one?
Yeah, this is a couple of losses that do suck in terms of depth, because you looked at these two guys as looking forward. These are the guys who were going to lead the charge in a couple of years. They were true freshmen last year, got in, made a few tackles. I think combined they had 5 tackles combined. Colton Hood had 3, and Tyler Scott had 2. You went into the bowl game without your DJ Jameses and Nehemiah Pritchett's of the world, and Colton Hood stepped in and he made an impact. He showed progress and as a true freshman, but didn't really show out. And then Tyler Scott had a great spring from all of what I've heard. So Tyler Scott was a lot more surprising than Colton Hood was. I'm hoping that this is just hey, we're really talented. If you want to play, you might need to leave, because Jalen Crawford's coming in and Amon Lane's coming in as two very talented true freshmen cornerbacks. So You're hoping it was more of like a mutual, like, hey, we got some guys coming in, they're going to be playing right away. If you want to get in, it probably won't be here thing. But I'm not going to hit the panic button. I think if Auburn wanted more DBs, they would have gotten more DBs.
Sure.
And of course, I think the only one that Auburn's really gotten outside of Jaron Thompson from the portal, because he's a safety, is Antonio Kite. And I think that's really the only one. I don't think you're going to be missing out on like an Austin Osbury and JD Rim did suck, and so you only lose 4 DBs, but I think this you make up for it in what you are retaining.
Yeah, and in my opinion, that's just how the plan shakes out, the game planning shakes out, and how the depth chart shakes out. I don't think that that's anything necessarily to lose any sleep over. I think this DB room is just fine. Before we get into some NFL draft talk, Dylan, I mean, I just don't know how you don't talk about it when you're talking about college football fandom right now and talking about the college football world. Reggie Bush announced yesterday, as this show's coming out, or it was announced that Reggie Bush would be regaining the title to his Heisman Trophy, which, by the way, let's give a little round of applause there. About damn time. I just got to pose this question here, Dylan, and I think it's pretty much a layup answer, but what does this say about the future of NIL and amateurism? It's gone now, right? It is a thing of the past in its entirety. And am I crazy in thinking that Reggie Bush receiving his Heisman back, which, by the way, I want everyone to know I am 100% for, have been for a long time, that amateurism is a thing of the past now, right? Like officially.
You want to think so, especially because the new transfer portal rules that I don't think we've actually ever talked about on the show it's like the new thing is you have to be academically eligible to be immediately eligible wherever you transfer, and you could transfer as much as you want. So now since you're warming up to the idea of college football free agency, you have to be on board with the fact that players get paid. That's the thing nowadays. And Reggie Bush got paid, but he was very good. That's why he got the money that he got. And of course, the Heisman Trophy booster, whatever they are,
Committee.
The committee, yeah, they made a mistake in taking it away in the get-go. I mean, he already had the trophy in his house. I mean, I'm not.
All you did was strip a title. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I'm not giving it back. And you had, I think earlier this year, you had Johnny Manziel announce that he was not going to do any more things with the Heisman fraternity until Reggie Bush got the Heisman Trophy back. Because you look through the list and you see a lot of guys who did things that are worse than Reggie Bush that still have a Heisman Trophy. I'm not going to name any names, but he played at Syracuse. But
also, speaking of Johnny Manziel,
yeah, but you're kind of looking around, and if you start looking at teams that were ineligible for the championship, 1993 Auburn comes to mind, due to some rules that the NCAA now has allowed. Where does it stop at? Do you does Auburn have a shot at claiming the 1993 title because they were undefeated? They should have won the title, but I think
actually it's a very clear line that you draw. In my opinion, I think that if you were not awarded with accolades, then so be it. That's it's unfortunate that that's how it shook out in terms of whether the TV blackout ban and of the Patrick Nix era or the and you can take your pick here. I mean the death penalty with SMU, like if things were if you were ruled ineligible at that point in time and did not receive accolades, then so be it. You got caught and you broke the rules then. And retroactively, we can look back and be like, well, that would have happened now. Nothing would have happened. But I mean, look no further than Michigan. But I'm not throwing people under the bus, but they're gonna have sanctions, right? But the reality is Reggie Bush was awarded his Heisman rightfully in 2005. Now look, if Reggie Bush, yes, did he break the rules as they were in place in 2005? Yes, but you didn't get caught. And in my opinion, I'm not saying that you should go above the law. That's not what I'm saying. That's kind of on the Heisman committee for not doing their due diligence, and on the NCAA for not doing their due diligence in the time. I don't, and never have been a proponent of retroactive bans. I'm a huge believer of if the NCAA is this all-knowing God complex, which they have, they should have gotten it right in the first place. Like, you can go and give penalties and say, hey, look what happened at Ole Miss with Hugh Freeze. Sorry to hit home and strike a nerve, Auburn fans. But like, hey, like, this was not okay. Your program is going to have to pay for it going forward. But going back and stripping wins and stripping accolades, I think that's where you draw the line in this world. Like, if you go back and look at any situation like this, if you were stripped from something you were given, then I actually think you are entitled to get it back. But if you got away with it, like, good on you, I guess. Like, there's corruption in every level of every sport, every business, anywhere. Like, no matter what you work in, whether that be in sports, in comedy, I don't know, come up with literally in finance, it doesn't matter. There's corruption everywhere. Like, it's the name of the game. But I think that's where you draw the line. That makes some type of sense. Like, Reggie Bush not getting his Heisman back as soon as NIL was approved, like, is the dumbest thing in the world. It's amazing that it took us this long, but it's back. He was always my 2005 Heisman winner, anyways, so it doesn't make a difference to me. I've recognized him in the Tarr book of recognition for years, so I'll leave my piece there.
Well, until Auburn in 04 Auburn gets the title back, I will stay on the train of whatever makes USC fans mad. That's how I feel. But of course, as today as the show is coming out, it is of course April 25th, which is the first day of the NFL draft, where a few Auburn Tigers have a shot of getting drafted. Not day one, of course, I will say, won't be day one, but day two, day three, no holds barred. Justin Rogers, I've heard getting some late round buzz. Jalen Simpson and JJ James, who's probably going to be the first two Tigers off the board. Nehemiah Pritchett, who I think has seen a little bit of increase in his stock. And of course, there's a couple of other guys I feel like I'm blanking on off the top of my head. Marcus Harris. That's who I'm blanking on right there. But a lot of those guys going to be day two. And a few of them are going to be day three. I think you're gonna get more Tigers drafted than last year. I think
you would hope.
And I think I mean you're gonna have a lot of Tigers get drafted next year if especially KeAndre Lambert-Smith, if you will. But I do this every year. It's I never get any of them right. I might get 2 or 3 right. But I did make my 2024 first round NFL mock draft, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw that up on the screen. There it is in beautiful blue and every other color of the NFL teams. That is my official 2024 NFL mock draft. Tar, if you would like to tear it up, you can. There's a lot of picks that I'm iffy on, but I think I did a pretty good job.
I actually like this mix. I was looking through it earlier. I think after May and actually it's really after Marvin Harrison, after the 4th pick, I think it gets to be a little bit of a crapshoot, just because teams will inevitably pick people too high or pass on people. For instance, you have the Vikings taking JJ McCarthy. They probably will, and they probably shouldn't. You know exactly where I'm coming from too. Like I don't know. I mean, I've heard buzzes about the Falcons still trying to go get a quarterback. Why? Don't know. Not sure about that. I think that there's a non-zero chance that the Giants try to go get a quarterback. I don't know. That's a world where if for some reason Jaden Daniels slips, I think that could happen. Drake May could happen. I think the Giants could take the first quarterback available at number 6. I hope it's not JJ McCarthy. I really just don't think that the dude's pro ready. I don't think Michael Penix pans out either, just being honest with you.
There's a lot of first round buzz around second round quarterbacks.
Yeah, and person missing on that draft that we talked on your mock draft that you and I talked about for the show is like, does someone reach and grab Bo Nix in the first round? Like, does that happen? And I don't know that it's out of the picture.
I mean, the Broncos have. I think the Broncos have a couple, like 2 first. No, they only have 1. They only have 1. Someone I'm thinking of someone that like the words are hard. The Vikings could get Bo Nix later on if they wanted to go for best available.
Falcons might not have a draft pick. We'll find out. Like,
I mean, I can't even hear my Panthers make a pick until day 2. And which I'm not too thrilled about.
At least yours was via the trade. The Falcons, it probably won't happen in 2024, but like 2025 first round pick will be null. There will be 31 picks in the first round of the 2024 NBA 2025 NFL draft because the Atlanta Falcons are going to hit with tampering sanctions over Kirk Cousins. That's a real sentence just came out of my mouth. That's unbelievable. I don't hate it, Dylan. I mean, you're usually not spot on, but you're close. Like you're good at this stuff. So
I mean, it's tough making a mock draft.
it's Kuiper, and then right underneath that's you.
It's kind of like my get back for hating on mock drafts so much. So I make my own, and then whenever I get it wrong, I just roast myself for it.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like when someone makes a bad movie and you
Yeah.
like, I can make a better movie than that, and then you try to make a better movie than that, and it sucks. It's even
Yeah.
worse. It's kind of like that because I don't do trades in my drafts, which I'm always going to get that wrong. But also, I've seen mock drafts with like 8 trades in the first 16 picks. Like no one's doing that. Like chill out. But
No
yeah,
one's succeeding in doing that. I promise you that the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys of the world are trying.
but if I was looking at Bo Nix as a potential like pickup in the later rounds, I do not see anybody picking him to be the starter unless the Vikings hold off until pick 23, where they could get a quarterback, but I think they're going to overextend and get JJ McCarthy because for some reason he is a highly valued prospect. I've yet to have seen why he's a first-round quarterback. But also, I'm looking at teams like the Buccaneers, who could be looking for a potential quarterback. I mean, the Buccaneers don't really have a like true position of need where they're struggling, but they definitely have positions that definitely could. Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're going to bake this year, but
yeah. But outside of that, I mean, I think Bo Nix is going to be your first quarterback taken in the second round. You're going to get unnecessarily after like Drake May, there should not be another quarterback taken in the first round.
Bo Nix, you are an Atlanta Falcon. Yeah, 100%.
I wouldn't be shocked if he was.
I'd be game.
It'd be kind of. I don't think Bo Nix will ever be a starting quarterback for an NFL team in a non-injury situation. The Broncos could take him, and I think the Broncos would be a nice little Bo Nix versus Jarrett Stidham quarterback battle, which would just
Bo Nix versus Jarrett Stidham versus Zach Wilson quarterback battle.
Oh God, oh Lord. But yeah, if you want to see Bo Nix start, wait until a few more episodes of the Madden rebuild, which I have an episode brewing as we speak. That'll be probably the best chance to see Bo Nix start right away. But Broncos, I don't have them picking quarterback in the first round, so might see Bo Nix in the orange and blue again.
That'd be fun. That won't happen, and I cannot believe they're going to start Zach Wilson over Jarrett Stidham, but that's okay. I digress. Give me 1 second. I have to sneeze. So if you could riff for a second.
Oh, of course. And of course, if you want to predict where you think the Auburn Tigers are going to be going to the NFL draft, you can do that in the comment section below. Jalen Simpson, is he going to go to the Carolina Panthers? Hopefully. I wouldn't be opposed. Is DJ James going to go to the Buccaneers because they can reload on Auburn defensive backs after losing Carlton Davis to the Lions? Why not? A lot of weird things can happen. They might use their first round pick on DJ James, second round pick on Jalen Simpson, third round pick on, of course, Nehemiah Pritchett. We never know.
This rambles enough because now we're getting unhinged. But I appreciate you on the fort while I had to let out a nice sneeze. We're going to roll into Auburn men's basketball here in just a second. Before we do so, I want to remind everybody, if you're hanging out here on the College Loop YouTube channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We want to get that up to 800 subs ASAP. Dylan just mentioned to give your feedback on your NFL draft predictions. I want to hear your feedback on everything else. Give us your thoughts on the Reggie Bush Heisman situation. Obviously not applicable directly to Auburn, but timeline was pretty significant for the Auburn Tigers. I digress. Give us your likes, your comments, give us your subscribes, ring the bell so you can stay up to date with everything going on here at the College Loop YouTube channel. Also, make sure if you're listening on a streaming platform, thank you guys so much. Give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your streaming platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so we can continue to grow the College Loop family, the family, if you will. If you want to support the show in ways that go beyond just hitting like, subscribe, and ring the bell, you can head over to thewarreport.com. That's www.thewarreport.com. And pick up your very own College Loop Podcast, War Report Podcast Network, co-branded Philon Loopy t-shirt, 5 different colorways, $25. Most comfortable shirt you will ever own. 5 out of 5 Dylan Larks recommend it. Use hashtag Philon Loopy, that's Philon without the G, on your social media platform of choice. Tag us in a selfie of you, your dog, anyone that you know, your weird neighbor that sits out in his lawn chair all day and just kind of watches cars go past and you don't really question it. Send us a picture of him wearing the Philon Loopy t-shirt, but don't tell us it's him. Use hashtag Philon without the G, Philon Loopy without the G. And we will make sure we throw it up on the next show, next stream. Thank you guys for your continual love and support. Not lost on me. Definitely not lost on Dylan. Let's hop into it. Sort of, kind of, in a way, Auburn men's basketball news. Labaron Philon has requested and been confirmed to have received his release from his Kansas University, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, if you celebrate, letter of intent. This one's weird, Dylan. I'm not throwing shade. Kids these days got a little commitment issues, and I understand we live in the world of NIL and profiting off your name and your brand and going where it's best for you. And listen, Labaron Philon, certainly a talent and a kid that a lot of Auburn fans were really excited to see come play on the Plains. That being said, does this mean that Auburn's back in the picture?
I would like to think so, because you're looking at the point guard room that is now strictly just JP Furman left over. Aiden Holloway's gone. Trey Donaldson's gone.
By the way, from Furman.
I keep saying JP Furman. That's his name. I'm gonna call him that from now on. That's just what he is. But you're seeing a transition from the Bruce Pearl small guard scheme to what could possibly be a transition into the tall guard world. And Labaron Philon hits that right on the head at 6'4". And if Kansas it wasn't going to work out with Labaron, Auburn's a great home. You aren't going to be overworked. You're going to have you're going to reload completely the guards. You're never going to play more than 25 minutes unless you're just balling out. But JP McGeese is also really freaking good. You're going to have Tahad Pettiford to work with as well. You're going to have a nice trio of very talented true freshmen to work alongside your veteran team in general. This Auburn might be one of the oldest teams in basketball next year. But it's just taking the three freshmen out of the picture.
Sure.
Because you have a lot of 4 and 5 year players. And that works out very well for development. And of course, we all think Tahad Pettiford is next. Ja'Kai Howard is next. And hopefully wouldn't mind staying a couple extra years. And on to victory, please. Get to work on that already. But Labaron Philon, I don't know personally if he is looking back at Auburn. Of course, I know he's gotten looks from every single school that has a pulse. You were stupid if you did not call up Labaron's house trying to ask if he wanted to play for your school. But when you're looking at the team going the next year, there is a open space for a point guard.
There is.
And Labaron can fill it in very nicely. And honestly, I like his ceiling more than I did Aiden Holloway's. Strictly because he can reach the ceiling.
Yeah, I don't disagree. To me, it boils down to what is it that steered him away from Auburn in the first place, and how has that changed, if that has changed? And then you got to throw in, is the Pearl camp and the Auburn program interested in taking him back? And I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they are. I certainly think he's got the talent that he could really, really fit in well, and clearly Bruce Pearl did too. But in the same token, and kind of in the same breath, it's tough to see a kid decommit from a school, flip to another high caliber and historically prestigious program in the same sport, and go back after things go south. I'm just not sure that that's in the cards. We'll see. I'm not ruling it out. I've just not heard any whispers. I just don't know. And I think that, like you mentioned, there's a place, and there are minutes. Is Bruce Pearl willing to do that? And is he willing to go that young? Are you willing to play the 3 freshman game where all of them need meaningful minutes because they're all such strong contributors? Then you're moving away from what we've been talking about all offseason, Dylan, and that really mature basketball. I don't know. I'm not speaking on anyone's behalf. I certainly think he makes the program better, but ball's not in my court, metaphorically or physically. So we'll just have to monitor the situation as it moves forward, and I know you will. Let's roll in to some Diamond Sports here, Dylan. Auburn baseball got a win that they needed so damn bad on Tuesday. Run ruling, Florida A&M, 11-1 in 7 innings. And I just love this stat line here, Dylan. Florida A&M went through 7 different pitchers, giving up 11 11 runs on 11 hits, 11 runs, walked 12 Auburn hitters, which means Auburn was strong at the plate, and only struck out 1. Auburn went through Chase Alsop and Cam Tilley, and that is it, combining for 2 hits and 1 earned run, and also posting up 12 punch-outs. This is a game that you needed so badly, just because, and Jacob Hillman and I talked about it on Monday, that Auburn needs to be able to put together some complete games. It doesn't even matter who it's against at this point. This team is struggling so piss poorly and blowing leads like you've just never seen, that they needed to see that they're capable of doing something like this. And for them to be able to pull that off right before they head to Baton Rouge and take on a team that's really playing good ball, yeah, it's necessitated. Let's flip over and take a look at Auburn's opponent this weekend, and obviously a road stand in Baton Rouge Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And look what Auburn's pitching rotation's got to deal with. Well, they got to deal with a team that's hitting 284 as a collective, that's put 73 balls over the wall. They draw a boatload of walks. Have drawn 217 this year. Only struck out 70 times, and not to mention they get on base 40.1% of the time. Excuse me, 40.3% of the time. I can't read. This LSU team, while not the LSU team of old in terms of you don't have a Paul Skeen stepping up on that mound, is 26-16 on the year. They're only 5-13 in the conference because this entire conference is beating each other up unless your name is like Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, or Kentucky. But still, Dylan, it's going to take a complete effort. And I wish I could narrow it down and say, I really need X, Y, Z. I need to do X, A, B, C. I really need, Stanfield to step up and show up in a big way. No, it has to be a complete effort on both sides. Yes, we can talk all we want until we're blue in the face about this bullpen needing consistency. But whenever they put together something nice, the offense has to correspond. Now, granted, that's nowhere near level because the offense has held their own for the majority of the year, and their pitching staff has just let them down. It's going to take a complete game effort. I think it's a success if you steal 1. At this point, you're just fighting for Hoover. But if you want to go play in Hoover, you need to go win 2 and then get back to work next week when you take on Ole Miss. It's an uphill battle. I got Auburn winning 1 out of 3. And it really comes down to pitching to me, Dylan. It's reserving arms and staying healthy, keeping the pitch count low, but also being efficient.
I mean, that's the theme of the year, really, is trying to keep your pitching rotation manageable. I agree with you that Auburn will probably take 1. I would not be shocked in the slightest if Auburn fell all 3 because it's just how it's gone. Because I assumed Auburn was going to take 1 against Mississippi State, and they made sure to not do that in heartbreaking fashion in Game 3. But looking at Auburn in this game, it's the pitching. That's all it is. It's just the pitching. Every single weekend, it's the pitching needs to get better. I do not think in the slightest that we will be renewing a contract with Everett Tiford. I do believe he will be job hunting very, very soon. Because you have a lot of arms in this bullpen that are really good. Cam Tilley has shown out in a lot of games that he's been in. Also has a lot of potential. You've seen the best out of what you can get in Jogo, and I think Jogo might have to come back another year if he chooses to do so. But this season is just such a heartbreaker, just because you had so many opportunities to get wins in the SEC, and this entire season started off so well, but holy crap, it's just so rough watching Auburn play defense. I think Auburn still has won. My confidence level is not high in that, just because I can't get my confidence up for it anymore.
Nope, you can't. Go on.
That's all.
Okay.
Oh,
I was going to let you switch over to softball mode here as we prepare for Auburn to travel to Oxford, Mississippi, and take on the Ole Miss Rebels, a team that has struggled in the SEC this year. I'm not dislike Auburn. It's been a rough spring on all accounts, for that matter, and a bit of a brutal one. But Auburn seemingly turning a corner. I talked about this with Jacob Hillman earlier this week. Obviously, picking up a big win against number 24 Kentucky this past weekend. Kind of snatching one before they had to hit the road for Oxford. And being able to steal 1 out of 3 and at least get some momentum going forward, you got to feel a little bit better about where this team is at and how they stack up with Ole Miss. Tell us about it, Dylan.
yeah, because looking at Ole Miss, they're both teams are on a win streak of one, but Auburn seemed to hit a turning point whenever they took down LSU. And that was something that we've been talking about for a while. But looking at Ole Miss offensively, so currently batting a 2.78 as a team, have 35 home runs on the year. And they've just struggled. Ole Miss was a team last year that really got into your head. They just never left. They were right. They were always going to be in the game with you through thick and thin. But this year, just struggle after struggle after struggle. I mean, they lost to. They lost a series to UT, or they lost to UT Martin earlier on in the year in Oxford, 4-1, and then of course they got revenge on that. But they've been swept by Alabama. They've been swept by Texas A&M. Just can't really find a way of finding themselves. And Auburn needs a chance, or has a chance, to take advantage of that and get another SEC series win. Ole Miss does have a nice little 5 bullpen, 5 deep bullpen. The highest DRA they're giving up is a 3.32. But you're really only you're gonna see I'm gonna butcher her name, McKenna Clythermos. Don't kill me for how I said her name, because I don't know how to say it. She's a 3.05 ERA. She's gonna be the starting pitcher that you're gonna see probably 2 out of 3 days. But this comes down to, can Auburn continue to be consistent at the plate? We already know that you're going to get the best out of Maddie Penta and Shelby Lowe and Annabelle Widra. And can Auburn continue to find a streak at the plate?
Yeah, and it's as simple as that, because your pitching staff's going to do what it does every single week, every single game, every single day. It's helping them out. The complete inverse of the Auburn baseball problem. If you were to put them together, you could probably put together one really good team, one really bad team. So
just put Maddie Penta on the baseball team, and
would be down. I would very much be down to see how it works out, because I think that she could bring something to the table there. It should be very interesting. I like Auburn to win. I actually think I like Auburn to win. Take a road series win against Ole Miss. I think it's very, very attainable, and I think this team's playing a hell of a lot better. If they go win a series against Ole Miss, then you're looking down and saying, oh, well, all we got left is a home series against Alabama before we host the SEC tournament at Jamie Moore Field. Things can get weird there. Things can get really weird there if you play your cards right. And I think Auburn's got what it takes to make some noise should they decide. Sorry, I'm choking on air right now. Should they decide to be able to make a nice little run coming down the stretch. As we move forward with other teams in the hunt for an SEC championship, and I say in the other teams in the hunt because softball is not mathematically eliminated from that at this point. But as we look at teams that are in the hunt for an SEC championship, we take a look at Auburn men's golf, who's out in lovely St. Simons Island, Georgia, taking on the entire rest of the field. I started to just say taking on a handful of their pairings this year, but taking on the rest of the SEC field and finishing third after day one. So a little update for everyone back at home. Auburn took 6 players, only field 5 of them. Obviously, you take 6 as an alternate for your tournament play, just for the purposes of a strain, literally anything, and very, very plausible, especially with the heating up of the air temperature and pressure. Jackson Coyven, JK posted a 66 4 under par today. Josiah Gilbert 69 1 under par, very nice. Brendan Valdez 69 1 under par, also very nice. J.M. Butler and Carson Baca both even, which was good for a team composite 6 under in stroke play, which is also good to have Auburn sitting in third, only behind Vanderbilt, who is 11 under, and Georgia, who is 10 under. So Vanderbilt being the number 2 team in the country, very, very feasible that they stay right there on that pace, and that Auburn just needs a couple guys to get under par. JK can't do it all by himself, but shooting 66 certainly helps the cause. Auburn's in great shape. No one over par. not a chance that they kept themselves out of a fight there. They just got to continue to do so on day 2 of stroke play. UGA is an interesting one for me. Obviously, number 23 team in the country, capable of making some noise. I don't necessarily know that they're at a sustainable rate. 10 under is a little excessive from where I had them at. Texas A&M rounding out at 4 under, good for 4th place. Number 7, Tennessee at 3 under, 5th place. Tied for 6th, number 11, Arkansas, number 15, Florida at 1 under. And beyond that, every team for the remaining half of the SEC is above par. That includes tied for 9th, Kentucky, unranked, and a team, this is going to make some people smile, number 9, Alabama, 3 over par, and efficiently and effectively out of competition. At this point, if you're over par with teams like Vanderbilt and Georgia already in double digits under, it's going to be really, really tough. Auburn's in a great spot, and really what it matters is when you get to match play this weekend, I think there's a great chance Jackson Coyven winds up as the individual champion at SECs. Shooting a 66 on day 1 is bonkers. I would love to shoot 6 under par on my own. So it's it'll be what it'll be, but 4 under par because it's a par 70 course. What in the world are we looking at? I digress. But Auburn in a great place to make some really, really good headway. Weather's supposed to be perfect for golf tomorrow and St. Simon's, except for the fact that you're always dealing with wind. Can't imagine being me. But that being said, really, really excited to see how this group shapes up for the remainder of the weekend, Dylan. And I really, really, really love my pick of Auburn winning the SEC championship. Obviously, number 1 team in the country for a reason. And Jackson Coyven, JK, enjoy him while you got him. He is going to put up some absurd numbers, and Jacob Hillman did a great job breaking down some of the tournaments he'll be playing in on Monday, on the Tuesday show of the College Loop, explaining his route to the pros, which we should all be rooting for the sake of the Auburn program. What a time to be an Auburn golf fan. That'll do it for today's show. Before I get us out of here, I want to remind everyone, make sure to head over to the little subscribe button. I almost said the College Loop YouTube channel, but most of you guys are probably watching there anyways. If you're hanging out with us on the College Loop YouTube channel, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you can stay up to date with everything going on here at the College Loop podcast. Drop your comments, give us your feedback, what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear, everything in between. If you are listening on a streaming platform, thank you guys so much for continual love and support. Make sure you give us 5 stars, thumbs up, whatever the highest rating is on your streaming platform of choice. Share the show with a friend so you can continue to grow the College Loop family. Feel like supporting the show in ways to go beyond just the like, subscribe, ringing bells? You can do that too. You can head over to theworldreport.com, pick up your very own College Loop podcast, World Report Podcast Network, co-branded Feelin' Loopy t-shirt, 5 different colorways, $25. Use hashtag Feelin' Loopy. That's Feelin' without the G. Feelin' Loopy on your favorite social media platform, and we will make sure to throw it up on the next show, next stream. That is all we've got for the College Loop YouTube channel. Hi, let me try this all over again. That is all we've got for the College Loop podcast for today. Dylan, it's been a hell of a ride. It's been a ton of fun, and I hate that I'm getting choked up now. So I'm going to tell everybody I'm at by Harrison Tarr on all my social media platforms. Thank you guys for continual love and support. Please, please, please keep growing the brand, keep growing the family. I will see you guys all very, very soon. Dylan, let's get out of here.
Of course. I'm Dylan Larck. I will attend on Twitter, also Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. So make sure to go follow me on there if you do so, please. And of course, we'll be right here. I'm right here on the College Loop podcast as well, where you should like, comment, subscribe, leave your thoughts on KeAndre Lambert-Smith and what he can add to this Auburn team. And don't forget to give a nice little warm thank you to Mr. Harrison Tarr right here. And of course, don't forget to check out the audio versions of the show as well on Spotify Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and of course, Amazon Music. And of course, all the social medias. We are there at the College Loop. Visual aids right over there, right above Harrison Tarr. And of course, all that being said, this has been the College Loop podcast.
Love you guys.